of the Always Believe House. Oh, today is World Read Aloud Day. Yeah. So Mr. Toops is going to share a story for you on World Read Aloud Day, okay? So, my first time ever to go away from my home, I was my last year in college. It was the summer of 1989, and I was hired as a summer camp counselor at Camp Cayuga. So I drove up there. First time I ever was away from home. I drove a car all the way to Pennsylvania. I spent 8 weeks at a summer camp called Camp Cayuga, and it was the greatest summer of my life, okay? This is a story about that summer, and it was the greatest job I ever had. I was getting paid to play with kids. If I could do that full time, I would have, but summer camps are like, they don't last forever. Being a teacher is like really close second to that, okay? So the camp I was at was called Camp Cayuga. It's in the Pocono Mountains, top right-hand corner of Pennsylvania, and this happened like toward the end of my first summer, okay? So this is a story about that. I'm reading to you from my book that I've written, okay? The Story of Always Believe. It has some amazing stories in it about my life, and this is one of them. You will enjoy this, okay? This act is true. This is basically an autobiography, true stories here. Niles Pond Road, take me home to the place I belong. Camp Cayuga, Pennsylvania, take me home. Niles Pond Road. So goes the chorus to the song that produces the greatest surge of happy emotions that comes from me, remembering the spot where some of the greatest days of my life occurred. If home is the place where most of the happiest memories of your life take place, then hands down, Camp Cayuga is truly my home. One cannot explain in words the surge of emotions that one feels as they make the drive up Niles Pond Road to return for another summer at Camp Cayuga. On June 17th, 2010, my 12th time, I journeyed from my residence in southeast Texas to my home on Niles Pond Road, just north of the small town of Honesdale, Pennsylvania. I turned on the left blinker, made the turn off Highway 191, and there I was again, one more time on Niles Pond Road, driving up the mountain 2 miles away from Camp Cayuga. We're back again, Dad, my 16-year-old son said. Yes, we are going back home once again, I responded. For my son, this would be his 11th summer at camp. But this year he wasn't a camper. He would be working this summer, earning his very first paycheck. I looked over at him and I could see my son was reflecting back on the happy memories he made over the past 10 summers. Then I looked ahead on the road and I went back in time to 1989, my first summer at Camp Cayuga. Tex, my name at Camp Cayuga, this is great. You are taking us on a shortcut. Barnaby, one of my campers, was so happy we weren't following the Blaze Trail on our hike back to camp from the waterfall. Tex, did you see us sit under the waterfall for over a minute? Paul was telling me about the best part of his day. Tex, what about the dead fish I found? It was really slimy. Russell was so proud of the fish he caught, even if it was dead. I confirmed their happiness. We sure did have a fun time today, didn't we? All 6 of my campers replied, yeah, Tex, it was awesome. They all said awesome, that with the Texas accent they were all picking up from him. Even better yet, Tex is showing us a shortcut, Barnaby repeated. Barnaby really didn't like following the rules, and he was ecstatic we were hiking back to camp in a new way. I then said, that's right, boys. I'm showing y'all how to be manly man. Hiking back to camp using our built-in man compasses. I told them this as enthusiastically as possible. Truth be told, I was lost beyond all sense of direction, having accidentally strayed off of the Blaze Trail. I knew the camp was due east of the waterfall, and if I kept hiking, I would miraculously end up at the camp or one of the two roads that ran parallel to each other. Unfortunately, I couldn't hike away from the setting sun because right before we left Waterfall, a huge bank of clouds rolled in. And I had forgotten which side of the tree the moss grew on. I knew I should have listened to my dad when he told me this when I was 9 years old. It was either the north or the south side, or did he say it was on the west or the east side? Either way, I totally forgotten the rules, so the moss on the trees I could see offered me no help. All I knew was I had to keep hiking and not let the 6 campers who thought I was a demigod know I had no idea where we were. Tex, this is so cool. You know a shortcut that is going to cut our trip in half. Barnaby was still so proud we were not following the trees that were painted with the white triangles. Truth is, I was hoping and praying these magical white triangles would once again appear, but alas, they didn't, and I knew that we should have been back at camp about 10 minutes ago. As we continued our hike to Lord who knows where, the 6 campers continued to rally off the good times and the happy memories that made that day and earlier in the summer. They were all 8-week campers, and we were all having the time of our lives that summer, except for the fact that I was actually totally lost with them at the current moment. It made me think that this was really the greatest job I would probably ever have, and today is still the greatest job I've ever had. I just got paid for playing with kids. It was awesome. As a general cabin counselor, a GCC, it was my job to stay with my 6 campers all day, walking them around to their activities and just playing with them. That's right, I was getting paid to play with kids. Just listening to the campers carry on about their happiest memories while we were hiking around, probably walking in circles, the summer of 1989 was producing memories I would never forget. And I was really impressing the 6 campers who were all doing their best to imitate my Texan accent. Just recently, one of the campers put his arm around my waist on the way back to the cabin from general swimming and asked me if I could come back home with him and be his second dad because his dad was always gone on his job. I just kept smiling and pressing forward, whichever way that was. I thought Ray Charles could be a better hiking leader than I was. I did know that eventually I would come to one of the 2 roads, or Lord help me, magically we would break out of the woods and end up at camp. We got to the crest of a small hill, and lo and behold, a real forest ranger was hiking about 50 yards away. The campers were elated at meeting a real forest ranger. Barnaby then said, "Golly, Tex, you even took us right to a forest ranger." If the boy only knew how hopelessly lost I was. The ranger smiled and answered their questions. The boys were so happy they were talking and meeting a real woodsman. The ranger smiled, after listening to the campers, he then looked at me, turned his head to the right, and said, "You know, you just walk that way," he pointed to my left, "and in about 500 yards you'll be at Cayuga." He then turned and looked at me quickly, winking his right eye. He knew I was probably lost. He then continued his hike, and we changed our hiking direction. And within minutes, we busted out of the woods onto the soccer field at Camp Cayuga. I had never felt more relieved. "Tex, you're a genius. You need to show everybody else that new shortcut you found." Barnaby was happy as a lark in a tree. We broke the rules, left the trail, and came back a new and improved way. We soon arrived at B2, our cabin, where the campers soon spread the word of my amazing hiking skills. I just naturally went along with the flow and acknowledged all the stories the campers were spreading about me. That happened 21 years ago, and to this day, all the counselors and campers of 1989 thought I was an amazing trailblazing hiker. If they only knew the truth behind the good fortune that legends somehow seem to find on their way to their destiny. "Dad, we're back at camp." We passed the big sign that welcomed everyone to the happiest spot on earth, Camp Cayuga. We made it back for another summer. Life is good, I told my son. I was so happy to be back that a small tear started rolling down my left cheek. I am now the camp photographer, and it is my job to walk around Camp Cayuga and capture the magical happiness that occurs each day. As I tell my campers and counselors on my last day at camp, one of the greatest assets of aging is being able to experience the emotions produced by remembering your happiest memories. Camp Cayuga was truly a place where those happy memories were made every day. And for me, the trip up Niles Pond Road takes me home to the place I belong. Great, great story. Some of my happiest memories of my whole life are at that camp. And it is truly my home. When I go back there, it's like I'm home. Thank y'all for listening today. Hope y'all enjoyed the story. In March, we get to do Read Across America Day, which is Dr. Seuss's birthday. And I'll share another story from the book with you, okay? Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember, you are amazing. You are created to do wonderful things. And you are awesome.